Alright, what's up guys? This is a quick revisit to the Canon R50 after owning this camera for over 1.5 years now. I thought I'd just give my overall thoughts on this camera after long-term use and ownership. So this is my first real camera, you could say. I have previously made an in-depth, more technical review after having it for like a month at that point, which you can still check out on YouTube. But this is not really going to be an in-depth technical review, but rather just my overall experience with this camera as a whole. So yeah, this is my main camera that I use just for casual photography, and it's also the main camera that I bring with me to travel, and it's also what I use to usually record these YouTube videos. But for this video, I'm just going to be recording through my phone, of course, but usually it would be this Canon R50. Now my current setup on the R50 is, I think this is the Sigma 18 to 50, and I believe it's a f2.8. I'm pretty sure it's an f2.8. At least that's what I remember. If I'm wrong, I'll just have a correction on the screen somewhere. But yeah, this is the current lens I'm using, the 18 to 50, and it's a really outstanding lens, especially for being paired with this Canon R50. Previously, I had the Canon RFS 18 to 150 lens, I think, which I think was a great overall do-it-all lens that you could really just have live on the camera body. But I wanted to get a lens that just had a little bit better image quality, at least for shooting portraits and photos in like dimmer lighting scenarios, which this is better at. And it's just better for having that better background blur, I guess you could say. I already forgot the technical terms of this camera stuff, but yeah, it's just a nicer lens overall. But yeah, as a first camera, like for me, this I still think is an excellent choice. It is a crop sensor camera, but at the same time, I think it will help you get used to using an actual camera, and it also gets you familiar with how to adjust the settings and like what each of the different settings does. And I just think overall it just helps you get familiar with using a camera without spending too much before you actually think about getting a full-size one if you are more advanced. The more I use this camera and the more I travel with it, the more I really like it. Mainly because of the size. Now the size does have some downsides because it's smaller, so it is harder to hold. And a lot of the times you're going to hit these buttons accidentally, which I do a lot still. But if you're just planning to bring a camera on the go, then I think the size, the compact size is really, really good for that. Like this was here, I brought it to, I think this was Ottawa in Canada. I've brought this with me on different trips to various countries now. Like for example here, Canada, and I also brought this with me to Japan. And all I really do is just throw this in my backpack and I'm good to go. I just pack my spare battery with it, and that's about it. It's not that heavy either. Now, as I mentioned in my in-depth review, the battery life is still not that great on this camera. It can be improved if you like turn off all the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi connections, which I believe I have done. Wi-Fi settings, Bluetooth settings, like almost everything is disabled, and that does help you improve the battery life. But still, I just find that the battery life is not great, especially if you use this to record videos, which I do. This battery can still drain pretty quickly, so you definitely want to have spares. I also found that the Canon app that you use when you transfer photos between like your camera and your phone, the app is not reliable, and half of the times it doesn't even work for me, so I found it just kind of annoying, so I don't use the app anymore. I've tried like multiple ways to transfer files between this and my phone, I've tried the Bluetooth, I've tried Wi-Fi, I've tried even directly connecting this through USB-C, which you can do here. If you just plug this USB-C to USB-C directly to your phone, that's another method of transfer. But again, it relies on the app, and the app is so janky that half of the time it doesn't even detect that my phone is connected. So that's kind of a problem that I have with this camera. It's just not reliable. So that's why at this point I kind of just disabled all the connections, and I just do it the old-fashioned way, which is take my SD card and plop it into my MacBook Pro and then go from there. It's more tedious, but at least it works 100% of the time because the transfer method on the app doesn't seem to work that often. Another thing to mention is that if you're recording a lot of longer length videos, the camera will start to heat up and overheat. Now, I only usually take like 15 to 30 minutes to record a video. I usually never overheat this thing, but by that time, the heat indicator is already on the camera and it's telling you it's starting to heat up. So if you're thinking about recording for like at least an hour or longer, then you might have some issues with overheating on this machine. Also, when I record videos, I usually have my Rode microphone. Currently, it's connected to my phone, but I would usually have my receiver here, and then you just plug in the audio to the mic here, and that's how I get audio for my videos. Also, having this articulating screen is just amazing. I can't think about using any cameras that don't have one nowadays. I love having this articulating screen. Really nice for just recording videos in general. I want to talk about the autofocus because I found it to be both really good and not that good sometimes. In terms of just automatically recognizing and tracking human faces, animals, just like living things in general, this is really good at that. But what I do is I do a lot of product reviews. So a lot of the times when I'm trying to record products, this autofocus system just kind of randomly focuses on something else, like the back wall or like, something in the back and not the subject at hand. Even though I many times have manually pressed it to focus on the object, the autofocus sometimes just goes janky. So it's just something I noticed. Now, of course, I want to also get into the image and video quality because it is really good. Depending what phone you use, the difference or the improvement in quality will vary, of course. But I will just say in general that the quality of this camera should outperform most smartphones in the market in terms of just raw image quality. Now, I know like the current iPhones and Samsung flagships are just getting better and better. And I haven't really done much research on those phones in terms of their camera quality. But compared to my current Z Fold 5, the upgrade and difference in image quality is just massive. Like there's no comparison between having an actual camera with much larger sensors and comparing it to my phone sensors. Now, for most people, a smartphone is more than good enough, and with how advanced AI is now, like it just automatically enhances all your pictures with automatic post-processing and stuff to make it look better. But if you are just really into photography and you just want a pure, better raw image quality that, which you will later take time to edit yourself, then I still think that the Canon R50 is worth considering. And it should give you a better image quality overall. But again, a lot of the photography stuff is based on the skills of the person and not your gear. But I'll just say that I love taking photos with this, and I take much better quality photos with this than I do with my phone. Just some other quick things I want to touch on real quick. The camera body itself doesn't have any kind of weather sealing. So I do try to avoid getting this thing wet. Like I don't take this out in the rain or anything like that. I just try not to get this camera wet. And that same thing goes for the lens. And there's also no in-body stabilization. So if you're recording videos and stuff, I usually just have this thing on a tripod, or if I don't, then I'll have to manually stabilize this digitally in my editing software. There's also a lack of, well, there was a lack of lenses available on the market. When I first got this camera, the only options really were from Canon, and they only had a few lenses designed for the RFS crop sensor. But now they do have more third-party lenses like this Sigma. But yeah, just be aware that there might be a lack of lenses available on the market. Now you could, of course, use full-frame camera lenses for this. Those are just really expensive. Yeah, I mean, that's about it, really. Just a very simple and easy to use camera that, you know, it's easy to operate. You know, there's not many like complex options on here or functions on here. The electronic viewfinder thing it works perfectly fine. I use this a lot whenever I shoot in daytime, direct like sunlight and stuff. This thing helps a lot for that. Yeah, that's about it really. I'm probably missing some stuff, but those are my overall just broad thoughts on this camera after having it for over 1.5 years now. So if you guys have any like other questions that I haven't touched upon, you know, you can let me know in the comments and I will do my best to answer it. But overall, I love this camera and I could not recommend this enough. So that's my long-term review on this Canon R50. Thanks for watching this review, and I will see you guys all in the next video.